Submission isn't silence, and leadership isn't dominance. Both require dying to self. Okay, let's talk about it. Us as women, as the helpmeets, we're to submit to our husbands, but also let me remind us women, okay? The word also says that men need to also submit to their wives. We should be submitting one to another as unto the Lord, right? So there should be a reciprocal submission to each other. And leadership isn't about being bossy. You're not to dictate and abuse your role as the man, as the head, as the leader. No, that's not a good leader if you are abusing your leadership, if you are abusing your authority, if you are using your authority to control and manipulate and to, get your way. Like, no, that's not true good biblical leadership. That's not a good leader. Okay. And real men of God, they know this, right? And us women of God, we understand and we see that. For me, I know what a good leader is and what a good leader isn't based on experiences and observations and biblical principles, my own personal intimacy in devotion with the Lord and in my word. My husband being the head over me and like the leader over me, like that's sexy. Like I want that. If you don't want that, I feel like the only reason why you wouldn't want that is because you just been hurt. You have trust issues. Men have not treated you right. And so the thought of you submitting unto a man stirs up this fear of being controlled and misused, mistreated, and abused all over again. But that's why we need to heal from all of that trash, because if we don't heal from our baggage and our carnal mindsets and our strongholds and negative thoughts that have shaped our perceptions and our reality, if we don't deal with those things, it's going to cause us to self-sabotage the blessings and the order and the structure that God has laid out for us. Marriage is such a beautiful thing. Like I said, like I want a man to lead me. And if this man is a man of good character, he loves God. I know that he's submitted unto God. And he has to answer to God. For me in our household, I'm okay with that because I know a good man when I see one. And I have discernment as well, and I also know my place. I know that submission is also powerful. And I also know that submission doesn't mean silence. So submission doesn't mean I can't speak up. Submission doesn't mean that I need to be quiet. Submission doesn't mean I need to be a yes woman. I need to do everything that my husband says, especially if it is sinful for one, or it's harmful to me emotionally, spiritually, or mentally. Then I have a right to speak up about those things. And we can also communicate in a healthy way. I don't have to be argumentative or double down and be sassy. If I say no, like I can say no in a respectful way. Like, hey, let's talk about this. I don't really feel comfortable with that. And these are the reasons why. In a healthy relationship, you understand that you don't have to explain yourself, but you get to. Like, you want to. And your partner wants to hear you out. That's in a healthy relationship. If you're not in a healthy relationship, a lot of the times you explaining yourself isn't going to get you anywhere. They're still going to justify why you should submit to them and do what they want. And there's manipulation in that. And when you're explaining yourself in a toxic relationship, you end up having to defend yourself as well. And that's not what I'm talking about, okay? No, we're about healthy leadership in submission over here. Healthy, godly relationships. How to understand them, how to understand our roles, and understand our part, right? Because we're not always perfect either. It's not all the men's fault and it's not all the women's fault. This is an individual affair, okay? We have to answer to God personally. Like, we got to work out our own salvation with fear and trembling, okay? So how you show up and how you submit and surrender to God first is between you and God. You have to answer to him at the end of the day. So when you are submitting to God and you're submitting to your husband, and I'm talking about husband, because you don't have to submit to somebody who ain't your husband, all right? You can be respectful. There's boundaries, things that need to be communicated, but in a marriage, When you submit to your husband and you're still unsure and you might have some fears, but you've talked about it, right? And if it's just like a fear thing and something that you can get over, it's not harmful to you, understand that you submitting to your husband is you directly submitting to God, because the word tells us, wives, submit to your husbands in all things as unto the Lord. And you can trust your husband to lead you correctly. Why? Because he is a man of good character. He's not somebody who's controlling or trying to dominate you in a toxic, manipulative, selfish way. No, both of y'all are required to die to yourself.